Welcome back to Liger and Bear RC. Today I'd like to showcase my 2006 WRX STI Spec C. One of my favorite cars because I have a 06 Impreza WRX Wagon in gray. So I bought the white body set and painted it more or less color matching to my real life car. See the setup sheet there, most of the stuff is pretty much indicated on the spec sheet, but I'll go ahead and show a little bit what's there. I've got the transponder wired hot in there. I didn't put the note in there. I have the little shim setting kit under that to drop the front end. I'm running, well, let's just pull it apart and look. I do have it wired with the standard Evo light kit. I only have the one set of tail lights. So I don't have both, didn't wire it for the second set of brake lights. I probably will do it at some point. You can see there it is fairly slammed. That is due to a couple of things here. So just show as I go through. I hot glued, and I do this on most of my cars, I hot glue the wires right at the top just to give it a little purchase and makes it a little easier to remove the wiring. Pretty standard stuff right there. This is an MAO2 Evo. So there's a few other people that have done these, but they're fairly rare. The ASF VE Pro was a 8500 Evo that Kyosho had done, but when they came out with the new FHSS models, they weren't doing the Evos, so these are fairly rare. I know that there's several YouTube channels that have it on my issue, or other people have done it as well. So let's just sort of start at the bottom. I've got the aluminum heatsink, I've got the 4100 kV motor, I'm running 1927 gearing with the #1 plate in there. I did a DWS suspension from Kyosho, mostly standard. I am running the green normal springs, but I do have the inner tube shocks in there, which actually helps quite a bit, much better than the just sticks in there that they give you normally. I am running a Kyosho all-wheel drive ball diff in the back. I'm running a regular gear diff in the front. I am running Eagle Racing hardened wing shafts in the back. These are standard WRX wheels with 20 radials in the back, 30 slicks in the front. These also have, I'm running from the shim setting kit where we got the shim for the spacer here. Also have 2/10 thick shims on all four wheels. I'm running the MPower-Pro swing arm lower suspension, so it's now a double wishbone on top and bottom. I really like these suspensions. They are fairly expensive. I think it's 26 bucks or so for the suspension. The camber knuckles are a little over $20 a piece. I'm running 2-degree camber knuckles, which actually gives me 3 to 4 degrees of camber. I probably will switch back to 1 degree at some point, but at the point that I did this, I only had the 1-degree camber knuckles. I am running the medium soft purple springs in the front. I also popped off the little clips that come with the Kyosho and did the Empower screw in pivot pins there. This I just broke, so I just fixed it, super glued on a cut up box and did that. That's all the easy stuff. I'm running just a slight, I think 1 degree of negative camber on the front, so I'll need to check that, but it's just barely in from vertical. The Das Micro transponder is wired hot. I soldered it onto the 2 power leads that are right there, so just very carefully. And then you can't really see it, but I've got a connector in there, so I can disconnect it if I want to. The conversion, I'll probably on the next one. I had a number of issues with this conversion. So the next one I do, I'll probably do a better job of recording the video. But for now, there's a few things you have to do to convert a brushed motor or an ASF chassis to brushless. You can see here where the top plate cover, I drilled just a small drill in the 4 corners, cut it with a Dremel or rotary tool. Then here you need to file out to have clearance for the wires, and here in the back you need to file it for clearance. This is the effect of not doing that. These white wires here, the one with the little yellow heat shrink on it, those are the switch wires, and it was rubbing right in there. It cut the wires, let the magic smoke out of this receiver, and burnt the wire. So again, you have to cut it. If you cut too far, then you don't get the stability. So cut it, and then I filed in here to give enough clearance for the wires to go over, filed there to get enough clearance for the wires. Actually pretty straightforward transition. You can use either the MZ601 Mr. 3 main set, or you can use the MD401 MAO30 main set. The interesting thing is the Mr. 3 is wired the same as the MAO20. This is a MAO30 board, and you'll notice that the red and the blue are switched. And I needed to do that to make the car run forward instead of run backwards. Works really, really nicely. I've used a little anti-seize on the gearing to do that. I've got the diffs running wet with silicone oil in there. Not quite, maybe grease, I forget. Basically, I think it's just Kyosho diff grease in the little tube. Just the conversion is pretty straightforward. The main thing that you have to do is cut out the cover to make it fit, and you have to desolder the servo motor, and you can do it with everything in C2. The servo motor on these is an older style motor, and it's much bigger, so you have to disconnect the cordless motor from the more modern sets, and just solder them into place on here. The potentiometer, everything else, it just drops in. But the servo motor, like I say, you do need to do, is a little bit of work. Very, very pleased with how these turn out. Because I also run some lead weight here. I did that more before I dropped in the brushless. The brushless motor is heavier with the heat sink on there, and the extra pieces. Balance is close. I've got a friend with scales that I need to test this and make sure how close we are on the weight, but it handles really nice. I don't see or feel any difference turning right and left. So very, very pleased with how it handles. This is not a super hot rod. It is a very nice running car. It runs nice and cool, doesn't get hot, but it's not significantly faster than a similarly geared stock motor. But it just handles nice, has terrific brakes. Just love the little car. I like running lights on my cars, and I love the narrow cars. These work great on the mini 96 track and on a large 96 track. When you start running multiples of the large 96 and you run three wide straights and the wide inside curves and all that, probably just a little too fast. Excuse me, a little too fast for the narrow wheelbase cars. And you get traction rolls. Haven't really done a whole lot on the big tracks with this since I put in the MPower front suspension and the double wishbones, but it runs really nicely on the large 96, runs terrific on the mini 96 tracks. One thing that I did, the camber knuckles, the aluminum camber knuckles are expensive, but I've got a collection now of probably 7 or 8 broken camber knuckles, most of them from the front, a couple from the rear. 2 of them, I think, on this particular car. So even at $20 a piece, it's, in the long run, probably no more expensive than continuing to replace the plastic ones. So anyway, that's my 2006 WRX STI Spec V. You can see I made some choices. I didn't put the aero attachments on there. I used the regular hood scoop like my car has rather than the aero scoop. I did put the smaller rear wing and the rear spoiler. Did not put the rally scoops on the top of it. Just very, very pleased with how it turned out. You know, the paint is not pristine. This car has seen quite a few laps, and we've broken off the mirrors and re-glued them. Fun car, sits nice and low. Handles great. Just a fun little car. Probably ought to figure out how much money I've got into it, but it'd probably be horrifying. I am guessing, yeah, I'll run the numbers, but it's probably at least a $400 car sitting there. Because you've got, yeah, it's probably at least a $400 car sitting there. Fun car. Again, though, it's not significantly faster than you know, a stock with just put some lead weights on the bottom to balance it out. But it just handles really, really nicely. I really do like the inner tube shocks. I really like the lower aluminum swing arms on there, a little bit of carbon fiber. So one could argue that it's bling. One could argue that it's upgrade. In the motorcycle world, we call them farkles, which is functional sparkles. I really haven't done much of anything to this just to do it for looks. Everything here has been meant to be either an improvement for reliability or an improvement for speed or an improvement just for ease of handling. Anyway, that's my WRX, one of my favorite cars, and I'll try to get a few more car videos out too on some of the other things that I've done. So thanks, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd be so kind. Take care, friends.